Yep. Hey guys, I was trying to watch this idiot, but he's not saying anything newsworthy. Such a freak. So, I mean, what a surprise. Anyway, welcome guys. Trump is talking, claimed he was going to break news. He's not making any news. We thought he was going to call off the war. He's all over the place right now. This is insane. Anyway, welcome YouTube and TikTok and everybody else. Our Twitter, TikTok's coming. It is talking nonsense. Yeah. Let me get Substack here so I can see my Substackers. There you are. There are my Substackers. Hello, 4 Substackers. Let me there we go. Yeah, he's just rambling in the background. He's rambling in the background. Absolutely no news from Trump. So freaking bad. I'm going to start TikTok in a second. I'm trying to hold off on TikTok, but hey, Terry, he's rambling. I mean, what a surprise. What a surprise. Sorry, my microphone's touching everything. Okay, I think we're okay with the camera. Good enough. All right, I guess I'll start TikTok. I mean, he's rambling, but there's no choice here. It's no news behind me. Absolutely no news behind me. Absolutely ridiculous. Ah, all right, here's TikTokers. Crazy. Absolutely crazy here. Absolutely crazy. Greetings, Petruga. It is a beautiful day. Yeah, so welcome, TikTokers. We've got Looney Tunes on TV behind me saying absolutely nothing. It is if oh God. Oh God. As if, oh my God, he's such a liar. He's such a liar. Iran's such a big country. They were going to take over the Middle East if we didn't hit them. They were going to take over the Middle East. They were not taking over the Middle East. I mean, not a nice country, but they were not taking over the Middle East, and they were in no position to take over the Middle East. He's just, nope. Time change. It's 6 o'clock in America. Time change this weekend. Just insane. Absolutely insane. Oh, here we go. Questions. He lied again. Of course he freaking lied. I knew he was going to freaking lie. Oh, he's such a fucking liar. Oh, of course you did. He had a good call with President Putin. Of course he did. Of course he did. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everybody. So, pathetic liar behind me. Oh, Trump's going to be doing a big speech today in press conference. You don't want to miss it. And then we're getting all these stories. He's told reporters that the war is pretty much over and we've won. And we're thinking, oh my God, big announcement today. The stock market, as actually Julia Yoffe predicted this. She goes, if you think he's actually doing anything substantive, she said he's trying to calm the markets. He was trying to get the stock market to go back to normal before the day ended. That's exactly what he did. He did his usual BS. Hold on, let's see. I think it'll be over soon. I think so. I think so. I think so. But he didn't claim, the thing is, but he didn't claim victory. So welcome, guys. John Aravosis here. We're kind of breaking in the middle because we've got a Trump press conference right now. Trump basically, we've got to stop falling for his lies and his tricks. Trump basically convinced everybody this afternoon, oh my God, he's going to end the war. We've won. Wow. We've won. I just have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea what this even means. Yeah, I don't know who you are, racist, bigot, sexist, homophobic, anti-Semitic person, but not from New York. But you are an anti-Semitic person, and I'm going to guess racist and everything else too. So you're going bye-bye. 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 I'm guessing you're from New York. He meant Jewish. Yeah, we had our little anti-Semitic phobe on. Not Jewish, but thanks for being a racist, bigoted pig anyway. So, oh yeah, yeah. That's the anti-Semitic way of saying you're Jewish. You're from New York. I bet you're from, and he put it in quotes, New York. Chicago, Greek, close though. Anyway, so this is insane what's going on, guys. He's doing what he always does. Actually, let's start the show. Let me welcome folks, tell you what's going on. So I'm John Aravosis. Welcome, everybody. This is my show. We do this Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern, the latest news from the U.S. I'm in Washington, D.C., and depending on the story of the day, that's what we talk about. Today, the last week, obviously, the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about Iran because that's the big story. Something supposedly big was happening today. Supposedly happening today. It looked like Trump was going to declare the war over. Everybody fell for it. The markets resolved. The price of oil came down drastically. And he punked us again. Didn't announce anything. Yeah, I'm turning this down because, oh no, is he going to still, wait, he's got the Iranian girls' school. Hold on, the Iranian girls' school. Is he going to deny that we blew it up again?
And whether it's Iran, who also has some tomahawks, I wish they had more. But
Iran has tomahawks?
Iran or somebody else, the fact that a tomahawk is
Iran has tomahawks?
sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now.
Oh, Mr. Denial.
Mr. President, you said the war is, quote,
Okay.
complete, but your defense secretary
We appear to have blown up a girls' school in Iran the other day, killing 175 people.
It's the beginning of building a new country. But they certainly have no navy, they have no air force,
Wait,
they have no
now he's trying to reconcile the fact that he claimed the war was over and his defense secretary said we've only begun. And he's trying to say it's the same thing.
all gone. So, you can look at that statement. We could
Yeah, he's,
call it
oh, they're a mess. Oh my God, they're a mess.
or we could go further. And we're going to go further. But
Wait, what?
the big risk from that
Now he says we're going to do more.
for 3 days, we wiped them out the first.
Now he says we're going to do more.
When you think about it,
What?
it's incredible. We wiped out a big navy.
Oh, he's all over the place. Okay, this is really bad. He's all over the place right now. Okay, guys, so much crazy stuff has happened today, okay? Let's talk about this. We're going to talk about the war. So the kind of breaking news today was while the Pentagon said the war had just begun, Trump declared the war was pretty much over about an hour ago. He called CBS News and said, let me give you the quotes. He called CBS News reporter, thank you for the gifts there, guys. Please keep the gifts coming. Call CBS News and says to Wajia Zhang, who's very good on CBS, and says, I think the Iran war is very complete pretty much. He says, the U.S. is very far ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame for the war. The war's been going on for 2 weeks? Well, 1 week. Help me out here. My God, I can't even remember anymore. Has this been 1 week or 2 weeks, guys? Are we 1 week into this? I literally can't remember anymore. We're 1 week. Thank you. Okay, 1 week. So 10 days. He says, we're very far ahead of the initial estimate of 4 to 5 weeks. I think the war is very complete pretty much. We're going, okay, so everyone thinks, wow, he's like declaring the war over because oil prices jumped to $130 a barrel last night. They're down to like 85, 90 now. But they freaked everybody out last night. That oil prices had gone through the roof, right? And now they're back to normal because Trump basically hinted today like he was going to end the war. But at the same time that Trump told CBS the war was pretty much over, his Defense Department said the war has just begun. We've only begun to fight. Trump talked about killing the new leader of Iran. He talked about taking him out. He talked about taking over the Strait of Hormuz, that the U.S. was going to occupy it and run it. But at the same time, he suggested the war was over. And everyone was going, he's right now all over the place. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. He is flip-flopping all over. I have like a lot of things I wrote down to talk to you today, but we can jump around a little bit. today, the State Department tweets. Let me read you what State Department tweets. New goals for the war from the State Department, right? The new goals from the State Department. We must destroy Iran's ability to launch missiles, destroy factories making these missiles, and destroy their navy. Those were today's goals for the war. And we're reading this going, and again, listen to this. The new goals today for the war were destroy Iran's ability to launch missiles, destroy the factories making those missiles, and destroy their navy. And we're going, what happened to nuclear weapons? What happened to nuclear fuel? What happened to regime change? Like that all went out the window. Well, then the White House tweets the new goals for the war, and the new goals for the war repeat: destroy the missiles, destroy the factories making the missiles, destroy the navy, and the White House throws in Iran can never be allowed to get a nuclear weapon, which is interesting because it didn't say anything about nuclear fuel. It just said Iran can never be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. But Iran wasn't getting a nuclear weapon. And again, regime change went out the window when all weekend they were talking about regime change. Actually, earlier today, Trump again talked about regime change. Trump talked about killing the new leader who they just picked. I mean, guys, we've been talking about this for 10 days. He's still all over the place with trying to define what the goal of the war is. He still can't tell you why we're there. We are fighting a war. We have now spent $10 billion. We have now cost 7 lives. I don't think we're at 8. I'm trying to remember the one today if he was 8. I think he's 7. 7th service member, Benjamin N. Pennington of Glendale, Kentucky. 7 U.S. troops have died in this war. It's cost us $10 billion. Cost a lot of Iranian lives too. Cost a lot of young girls in Iran who got killed when we bombed their school as well. And he still can't tell us why we're there. Thank you, Kerry. And as I said, today, an hour ago, it seemed like Trump was going to declare victory and we were going to go home. And he told CBS News, I think the war is very complete pretty much. Basically saying it's done. And now, total bullshit. They announced this all day. Oh, he's going to be doing a press conference at 5:30. Big news. There's absolutely no news at all from what, I mean, I was listening earlier, listening to my background. There's no news at all in what he's saying. Absolutely no news. You know what? Let's go through the news of the day. It's a mess right now what's going on. Thank you, Carrie, for the pot of gold. So Trump announced today as well he's thinking of taking over the Strait of Hormuz, that the U.S. will guarantee shipping through there. He's thinking of killing Iran's new leader. Iran picked a new leader. I'm not going to pronounce the name correctly, but it's like Mojtaba Khamenei. Khamenei was the supreme leader we killed, or the Israelis killed. His son just got chosen as the replacement. The son, I read something a couple days ago saying the son makes dad look like a liberal. The son is a radical, conservative, extremist, authoritarian dictator. And one of the problems with the son, in terms of just how well is the son going to cooperate with us to negotiate? We killed his dad. We killed his mom. We killed his wife. We killed, and other family members. So the guy who's in power now, the new guy, we killed his father, his mother, his wife, and multiple family members. I don't think he's going to be too willing to negotiate with us. Trump then said that he doesn't like that they picked him. Trump has a better guy. He literally said that today. He's got a better guy for them to pick. He doesn't like they picked him. And if this new guy doesn't accede to our demands, we're going to kill him too. It's like, really? Oh, cool panther. Oh, Gene. Very cool panther gift. Oh, my God. Thank you. A leopard panther. I don't know my animals. Thank you for the leopard. That was very cool. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. A 7th U.S. service member was killed. We talked about that. The goals have changed again. We talked about that. I've been jumping around already. This weekend, by the way, Trump today talked to CBS News, like I said, and was suggesting that maybe the war can end. We've accomplished all our goals. Well, this weekend, the White House and Trump's people were saying that maybe, in fact, we were going to send boots on the ground, because the concern now is a new intelligence analysis from the U.S. says that Iran may be able to get the nuclear fuel. Remember the nuclear fuel that Trump buried in June when he bombed them? And Trump told us, thank you, Tirad, Trump told us in June that Iran would never be able to get that nuclear fuel? Well, this weekend we found out U.S. intelligence said, oh, looks like Iran can pretty easily get that nuclear. There's a little passageway they're going to go down. They're going to get the nuclear fuel. So this weekend we found out that Trump may have to send Delta forces down to basically get the nuclear fuel before the Iranians do. We're going to have boots on the ground. Okay? Again, at the same time that Trump was hinting today, thank you, Diana, was hinting today that maybe the war is over, maybe we won. And by the way, again, just to recap this, the reason the Trump people faked us all out and convinced us that the war was going to be over, he was going to announce the war being over, and he did not, is because oil prices jumped to $130 last night. Huge. I mean, huge. Like now it's down again. I can look. I'm going to guess it might be down to 85 or 90 a barrel right now, but it jumped to 130. That's, that's like 40% higher. Or actually, that's even more than 40%. That's over 50% higher. Let me, oil prices, let me pull this up. $86. So it's $86 a barrel right now. That's down from 130 last night, right? So he's been freaking out. The economy's freaking out. Obviously, oil prices go up. Everything else goes up. Synecdoche. Look at you, Gunther. Gunther's using highfalutin English class phrases. JPMorgan. JPMorgan did, I thought, kind of a really nice, concise analysis of when the war will end. Listen to this. How the war will end. Resource risk will begin to outweigh increasingly marginal military gains, meaning the military gains are getting less and less and less, and the other stuff is going to start to freak everybody out. He said the conclusion to the conflict will come down to the 3 M's: munitions, meaning weapons, markets, and midterms. So meaning how many weapons do we have left? What's going on with the stock market and the economy, and what's going on with the midterms, which is the election coming up in the fall for the U.S. NPR PBS Marist poll, 36% of Americans approve of the war, 54% disapprove. Again, these polls are consistent. These polls are very consistent. Between 31 to 41% of the public support the war. That's horrific. When you start a new war, typically you've got very good support. I mean, it's just the way it is. 70, 80%, 90% support. People rally around the flag, as we call it. This is not good, that only 36% of the American people are supporting the war. Trump said yesterday that he didn't, this was good too. Yesterday, Trump said, I don't care if oil prices go up. And everybody was like, oh my God. Yesterday, he tweets, short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for the USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. I guarantee you, every Republican member of Congress called him and said, you're nuts, stop saying that. Because that comment from Trump meant, I don't care about oil prices, I don't care about inflation. And, he's already in trouble enough on inflation because people think correctly that he doesn't care about inflation, and now he's making the same comment about oil prices. Anyway, not very good. Lindsey Graham, this was actually interesting. Lindsey Graham criticized, who's a big Trump ally, Republican member of the Senate, criticized Israel today because Israel spent the weekend blowing up Iran's oil facilities, especially oil storage. Something like 30, do I have the number here? They blew up like 30, I don't have it in front of me, 30 or 35 Iranian oil facilities, storage facilities, a really famous one outside of Tehran. Actually, I may have the video that I can show you. There was a wild video this weekend showing one of the oil facilities near Tehran, the capital. And I mean, it looked like, it was a real video. It looked like a fake video. Crazy. Let me find this really, here we go. This was the video. I mean, it looks like AI. It's not, that is an oil facility on fire outside of Tehran. I mean, it's crazy. Oh, did I miss a cool gift? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Diana. That is a cool gift. Oh, the uniform. We like the uniform. But yeah, crazy video there. What else we got? Trump is considering lifting further oil sanctions on the Russians. So Trump has already lifted some of the sanctions on the Russians we had because of Ukraine. He's thinking of lifting some more so that Russia can sell more oil, which after we found out that Russia was trying to kill American troops, basically help the Iranians kill them. I know Lindsey Graham. So Lindsey Graham was pissed at the Israelis because their attack. They had told us they were going after some oil facilities. They didn't tell us they were going after 30 fuel depots. Insane, absolutely insane. So they got pissed. So the U.S. criticized Israel. Lindsey Graham in particular criticized Israel, which I thought was very interesting. The girls' school, as I said, the Trump this weekend. Well, this is actually. Oh, that's another thing he just did that was interesting. So, looks like we blew up a girls' school in Iran. 170 people killed allegedly, or more. A lot of them young girls. The media, everyone confirming with videos, U.S. did it. U.S. did it. U.S. did it. It was U.S. Tomahawk. Trump then says a couple days ago, it was Iran. It was Iran. And everyone's going, it wasn't Iran. We all know it. It was, again, it was a mistake. I could accept that it was a mistake, but come on, it wasn't Iran. They didn't have Tomahawk missiles. Well, Trump right now backed away a bit. He didn't, now he said we're still investigating. This weekend, Hegseth said we're investigating, and Trump said, no, it was Iran. And Hegseth is right with him going, we're investigating. Now Trump is admitting we're investigating. In other words, it's no longer clear that that's what was going on. You could have a double tap and still have a mistake. Absolutely. First of all, there's no way in hell that we blew up a girls' school on purpose. I'm sorry. Let's not be stupid here. I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but nobody in the military said, blowing up a bunch of 6-year-olds would really accomplish our goal here. There's no way. They screwed up. They had the wrong targeting, and they hit it twice, but there's no way that it was anything other than a mistake. But you admit the mistake, and it's horrible. I mean, you don't defend it, right? I'm looking here to see. I don't know if I've got the Hegseth thing with Trump that happened. Is this it? Let me.
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still
But
investigating.
the only side that targets civilians.
See? He goes, Trump says, it's my opinion it was Iran. Mr. Hegseth, is that true? We're investigating. Hegseth wouldn't back Trump up on it. And then today, Trump himself finally said we're investigating, which is interesting because previously he lied about it. I'm kind of blown away here, guys. He did not back off from the war. Trump led everyone to believe, and again, Julia Ioffe called this. She tweeted it and said, he's faking you out, guys. Trump, in order to calm the oil markets, in order to calm the stock market, Trump hinted today like the war was going to be over and he was going to announce the end of the war. He didn't. He didn't even announce anything to do about oil prices, which is wild. I mean, you would have thought at least he would have announced something because oil prices are down, but they could easily spike again overnight. Yeah, I can't believe this. He said absolutely nothing with this press conference he just did. We totally thought this was going to be a big deal what he just did, and he did nothing. Now, the other thing was this weekend. So I always forget like the things that happened over the weekend. They had the transfer of the remains of our troops who died in Iran, in Kuwait actually, from Iranian fire. And Trump showed up wearing a baseball cap. Really horrific. A red tie, too, which I had less concern about the red tie, even though the red tie wasn't great. The baseball cap, absolutely outrageous. I'm going to show you this. This is the actual White House video. People are like, it's not the real video. This is the White House video. It's literally from the White House. I want you to keep a close eye, because you're going to see Trump in the background, and then I'm going to zoom in for you. Okay? Trump's coming up, Trump's coming up, Trump's coming up, Trump's coming up. There's Trump. Now, and I've got other photos of it too, but I'm gonna zoom in for you. Hang on here. All right. I've got photos of it. He's wearing one of his white baseball hats. All right. Now I'm going to show you there's a Getty photo. make it a little more obvious with the Getty photo. Hang on. Library. Oops. TikTok always makes this hard. I had less of a problem with the red tie, although people said the red tie was also really inappropriate for what amounts to a funeral. This is the Getty photo. He wore one of the white hats that he has for sale. Also, whatever the hell he's doing, God only knows. The bodies are coming out, and he's pulling his jacket away, looking down, I don't know, at his pants, at his crotch. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I really don't know what he's doing here. He's wearing one of the hats that he sells in the White House. Trump set up a store, because everything with Trump is grift. He set up a store in the White House next to the Oval Office. And whenever anybody comes for meetings, he takes them to the store and makes them buy things. Because who gets the money from the store? Trump. Because it's Trump's merchandise, right? This is one of the hats that he sells in the Oval Office. He was promoting his merchandise literally in front of the dead bodies of our troops. I mean, the other thing is, and some of the Republicans tried to defend him on this. Guys, he wore a baseball hat to a funeral, basically. He wore a baseball hat. Now, I really don't. Some people were even trying to give him credit and say he's so naive that he doesn't know. He knows. He knows perfectly well. Hey, Andre. He knows perfectly well what the rules are, right? Anybody who's had a mother growing up knows perfectly well you don't wear a baseball cap to a funeral, right? This is not rocket, but I mean, literally, this is not rocket science. He knows, and I will say he's of a certain generation too. The man's old, right? If you're 16, maybe you have no clue. I don't know. He's almost 80 years old. He knows you don't wear baseball caps in general to anything that's formal, to anything. And in a professional capacity, you don't wear baseball caps, which he does. And you certainly, thank you, Garden Girl, you certainly don't wear them to a funeral, which is what this was. And he wore it because, as, who was that said it? You're absolutely, as Accutra Studio just said, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. That's why he did it. He wore the baseball cap to what was basically the funeral, in essence, of our troops, the bodies of our troops coming back. And he wore the baseball cap basically dismissive of their service and dismissive of the honor we should be according them because he didn't care. He just didn't care about our troops and the fact that they gave their lives for this country. He just doesn't care. It was more important for him to basically, you know what? It was more important, one, to wear the hat that promotes the product he's trying to sell. And two, I'm sure he wears the baseball hat when he has a bad hair day. Because Trump's bad hair day was much more important than showing respect for our dead service members. Again, this is who he is. It's not rocket science. What else we got? So a few other stories, and then we'll open this up. Police in Norway are investigating an explosion that damaged an entrance to the U.S. Embassy in Oslo. I'm gonna turn the mute on my. Actually, I'll turn the TV off because there ain't no other news. And the AI company Anthropic. Remember that basically the Pentagon stopped working with Anthropic that creates Claude because they wanted to use Claude to mass surveil American citizens and to create autonomous weapons, basically weapons like war games that could launch themselves without human intervention. And Anthropic said no. Well, then the Pentagon tried to ban them and claimed they were a security risk and all this kind of crap. So Anthropic sued the Pentagon today, which was good for them. Havana Syndrome, huge story, huge out of 60 Minutes and CBS News here. Thank you, Patricia. So the Havana Syndrome, suddenly everyone now accepts that it might just be real, guys. So, a lot of us thought it was real anyway, but today, because of 60 Minutes, everything flipped. Havana Syndrome is a lot of U.S. diplomats, soldiers, national security officials, like all sorts of different U.S. officials, have been coming down with these strange symptoms for a good 10 years or so, or more. and hearing buzzing, feeling in their head. And what they found was a lot of these guys had like brain injuries, and they didn't know what the hell was causing it. And they thought it was psychosomatic. They thought, right? They just are successive administrations refused to believe that this was an enemy doing this, refused to believe this was, for example, the Russians, which a lot of us suspect and suspected, refused to believe it was the Russians. Oh, hey, Phaedra. Refused to believe it was the Russians, refused to believe it was anything. CBS 60 Minutes last night did a big report on it. I'll quote right now. 3 sources tell 60 Minutes that undercover agents purchased a miniaturized microwave weapon from a Russian criminal network. Secret U.S. military lab testing of the device on rats and sheep has resulted in symptoms similar to the Havana Syndrome. I actually want to pull that story up. A lot of the folks who are expert on this have been saying basically that they've been vindicated on this. I got to say, this is a crazy story in that successive administrations, Trump, Biden too, it's almost as if the CIA and the Pentagon have wanted this story to go away. Like they just didn't want it to be real. They wanted to just pretend like, all of our national security executives were lying. Let me read this to you. This is from 60 Minutes. This is their written story. U.S. military tested device that may be tied to Havana Syndrome on rats, sheep, confidential. Tonight, we have details of a classified U.S. intelligence mission that has obtained a previously unknown weapon that may finally unlock a mystery. Since at least 2016, U.S. diplomats, spies, and military officers have suffered crippling brain injuries. They've told of being hit by an overwhelming force, damaging their vision, hearing, sense of balance, and cognition. But the government has doubted their stories. They've been called delusional. Well, now 60 Minutes has learned that a weapon that can inflict these injuries was obtained overseas and secretly tested on animals on a U.S. military base. We've investigated this mystery for 9 years. This is our 4th story called Targeting Americans. Despite official government doubt, we never stopped reporting. I don't want to read the whole thing because it's literally their broadcast is the rest of it. Really, crazy stuff here. Absolutely crazy stuff. Is this I'm trying to find let me find this here. Oh, here's a story CBS wrote. Let me read the story too. This is like big stuff, scary stuff. This week, 60 Minutes reported on the Havana Syndrome, the mysterious constellation of injuries like cognitive difficulties, vision impairment, and issues with balance that have befallen high-ranking officials in the U.S. government while they were serving in the U.S. and abroad. For 9 years, our producers reported with correspondent Scott Pelley on what victims described as an invisible force that suddenly overwhelms their senses, causing headaches, nausea, and vomiting in some cases, while they are in their homes, walking their cars, or asleep in their beds. Some victims believe they were attacked with an energy weapon and were targeted because of their job within the U.S. government. Quote, when we first heard all these stories, it sounded odd and hard to believe that some invisible ray gun was hitting these people and hurting them, Zil de Granados told Overtime. But this week, this is one of the producers. But this week, 60 Minutes reported the U.S. government acquired a directed energy weapon from a Russian criminal network and is believed to be testing it on animals. We now believe there are directed energy weapons that can do this, and we believe that in a subset of the large body of cases, that's what happened, said 60 Minutes producer. This is wild stuff. Lindsey described the sound as a marble circling down a metal. Oh, here we go. Interview Mark Lindsey, a State Department security officer who worked in the U.S. consulate in China. Lindsey said he and his wife began to suffer symptoms after hearing bizarre sounds in their apartment in 2017. Lindsey describes the sound as a marble circling down a metal funnel. He said he heard the sound 4 times, always in the same spot and at the same time, right above his son's crib when he put him to bed at night. Lindsey said the sound was like nothing he'd ever heard before and fairly loud. Shortly after hearing the sounds, he, his wife, and his children began to feel ill. Eventually, he found out his neighbor had experienced a similar strange phenomenon. Werner, a U.S. Commerce Department trade officer, told 60 Minutes she woke up one night to intense pressure on her temples and a low humming sound. She later experienced symptoms like vomiting and nosebleeds. And because of them, his family and the neighbor, their health was going down rapidly. as I said, this is, I mean, there's story after story after story. Bottom line is, really, both of Trump and Biden administration treated this like it was nothing. Treated this like all these people were crazy. What I really like blows my mind is, the first time I heard this story, the very first time I heard this story, I went, Russians. I mean, on its face, Russians, maybe Cubans, right? Russians and maybe Cubans was the very first thing that came to my mind. I didn't sit there and go, well, that just sounds like a bunch of crazy people, right? I mean, any normal person who follows these issues would not, thank you, Diana, would not hear this story and think, well, that just sounds crazy, right? Like Russia would ever use an energy weapon to try to hurt American officials. Are you kidding? That's like exactly what Russia would do. I mean, no, it kind of boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. And again, this was the Biden administration and the Trump administration. This was the Pentagon and the CIA trying to just discount what these people went through. We're talking about the Havana Syndrome. With it now, there is kind of a big breakthrough. Well, actually, this report came out earlier. 60 Minutes did big coverage of it last night. But the report that the U.S. had acquired a weapon that we bought on the Russian black market came out a couple months ago. I remember that report, and that we were testing it. So that report did come out a couple months ago. 60 Minutes had a much bigger report on it tonight that kind of broke the story open. Really wild. But as I said, like the notion that we heard all of these cases and thought it sounded silly or fanciful. It's like, really? It's oh, Novichok, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is what they do. This is what the Russians do. It just, I mean, in a million years, you wouldn't say, oh, the Russians would never do that. Anyway, so that story broke. Keep an eye on it. Google it. I mean, I'm gonna have to watch the 60 Minutes. Watch 60 Minutes. We can go find the show online, I'm sure. Well, there's no way to block it that we know of, no, Sinead, because we don't, I mean, first of all, we don't even know what it is. They didn't believe until today that it was even real. Now everyone's kind of going, told you so, right? But I think they're still trying to figure out what it is. Thank you, Marie. Part of the problem is you don't want to like test this on people necessarily, because if it works, it causes brain damage, right? So you don't want to like test this device they bought on people and say, hey, does it work? Is it the same symptoms? Where if it's on an animal, you can investigate the brain damage, but you can't investigate symptoms. You can't say, okay, is it like hearing a marble? Do you feel pressure? This kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They test it on goats, but you can't ask a goat how it's feeling. That's the only thing. It'd be nice. I mean, they shouldn't do it on a person, but if you did it on a person, they could literally describe and say, yeah, it does feel like pressure. It does feel like, I'm hearing a marble. But again, if it's a device that can cause brain injury, you really don't want to test it on a person, unless it's, somebody we don't like. Anyway. All right. That's it for I'm hanging. We're not going anywhere, but that's it for sort of the news that I organized for today. And now we will hang and we will talk. So yeah, so Trump, I can't believe Trump did guys, all afternoon, like the last couple hours, the Trump people intentionally spread the word that maybe the war's over. Maybe the war's over. And Trump interviewed with CBS today and said, I'm going to quote this again, interviewed with CBS and said, I think the war is very complete pretty much. I think the war is very complete pretty much. He said, it's very far ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week schedule. By the way, he's such a liar. The war is very far ahead, Trump said today, of its initial estimated 4 to 5 week schedule. The war was never on a 4 to 5 week schedule. The Pentagon said last week that the estimate was they expected the war to go through the end of September. Because we talked about this. It was, an end of September would have been March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. The Pentagon last week put out that they were expecting the war to go at least 7 months. And Trump is now of course, Trump being Trump, got to make everything up. Oh, the initial estimate was 4 to 5 weeks, and we're ahead of schedule. And as I said, ahead of schedule, how are you ahead of schedule when you don't even know why we're there? They changed the goals again today. Marco Rubio first, the State Department tweeted, and then the White House too, tweeted the new goals for today, and they had nothing to do with the old goals. Regime change gone, nuclear weapons gone, nuclear fuel gone. They want to get rid of Iran's missiles and their navy. That was the new goal. Our goal is to get rid of their missiles and their navy. I'm like, that wasn't our goal. I mean, that may be one of the sub goals, but our goal was to like regime change and to thwart the nukes, which frankly weren't a threat anymore, but whatever. Remember last summer, Trump said he got the nukes and they'd never coming. Remember the whole blow up last summer? They're never coming back. Defense intelligence agencies lying when they say we only set Iran back a few months. They're never getting nukes again because we've obliterated them, and now it's 7 months later we had to invade again. But today again, State Department said the goal was missiles. Then the White House retweets and says, yeah, the goal's missiles and to stop Iran from getting nuclear. And we're like, okay, all right, at least you remembered that one. But they forgot about regime change, which Trump mentioned earlier in the day to people, that he was considering killing the new Ayatollah they picked because he's not a nice man, and he's not a nice man. Well, Trump isn't, but the Ayatollah is not a nice man. It's the advent calendar of reasons. Exactly. No, it's all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. So 7 Americans have been killed so far that we know of. Some people, Saudi Arabia, foreigner was killed, foreign worker, I believe. Bahrain or Qatar, a foreign worker was killed as well. 1 or 2, actually. So yeah, no, oh man, all over the place, these guys. Absolutely. Are we going in boots on the ground? I mean, again, this weekend. Okay, today Trump was trying to portray like, oh, the war's over. And then right now, went to the press conference, the war isn't over, apparently. Surprise! This weekend we heard that the intelligence assessment was that Iran, so 2 lies that Trump said last summer when he attacked Iran. He said, oh, we've obliterated their nuclear program. It's never coming back. Defense Intelligence Agency lied when they said we only set them back a few months. They're never coming back. It's done. We're over. We won. He lied. So the first lie was that it was never coming back. The second lie was the nuclear fuel, like the enriched uranium they need to make nuclear bombs. Oh, it's gone. It's buried 300 feet underground. It's buried so deep they can never get it. So it's good because we kept saying, where's the fuel? Where is it? No. It's buried. They can never get it. Well, now we find out this weekend, oops, it's buried, but they can get it. And our intelligence community said this weekend, oh yeah, they can get it. Like it's not that hard for them to get it. So this weekend we started talking about whether we're sending troops on the ground to actually get the enriched uranium. So that's a possibility too. And as I said, Iran picked a new leader today. The new leader is the son of the old guy. He's not a very nice man. Big surprise. They think he might even be worse than dad. Well, a couple of reasons. One, we killed dad. We killed his wife. We killed his mother. We killed a number of his relatives. He's probably not feeling very happy with us right now. So that's the first thing, right? Not very happy with us right now. Second of all, he is a radical, and they think he's going to clamp down. That because of the war and everything else, they think he's going to clamp down pretty hard. Will this turn nuclear? No, Luca. No. Yeah, people don't like you posting things repeatedly, Luca. No. I mean, first of all, who's got nukes, right? There's very few countries that have nuclear weapons. Israel's got nukes. We've got nukes. We're not using them. Iranians don't have nukes. The Russians do. The Russians aren't going to use them. Chinese aren't going to use them. The Brits and the French aren't going to use them. So, now, having said that, is Trump stupid enough to use nukes? There was a little bit of chatter this weekend of people getting worried that maybe Trump was like considering using nuclear weapons. Because that was another thing. Excuse me. Another thing was this weekend talking about how Israel or the U.S. was going to use a weapon that's never been used before in the Middle East, and everyone's thinking, "Oh my God, they're going to use a nuke." So I got up very early. I'm yawning today because I was helping. I went to Georgetown for graduate school. Thank you, DJ, and had to get up. We have oral exams for graduation, and I got to judge the oral exams today, which was a lot of fun because you sit down with the students, you get to grill them on their essays, and it's so much fun. But I had to get up at because of the time change. It was like getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I got up early and had to go to Georgetown. So I've been up all day. I'm more tired than usual is my point. So sorry. Oh, but I'm hanging in there, but I'm like tired to the point where it hurts, you know? What's the real death toll? I mean, the U.S. death toll, I think, is probably true within reason, because eventually they've got to tell you, right? Eventually they've got to tell you if our troops have been killed. So I think the death toll is probably real, that it's 7. The civilian death toll, God only knows. We're never going to know that. And this is the problem with civilian death tolls too, I think. You know, the incentive is on Iran to lie about the civilian death toll, but at the same time, clearly civilians have been killed, because per se. So how do you know? You know, I don't know that you can really know. You know. Anyway, yeah. So I am going to keep yawning as you guys. I'm sorry. Georgetown got me up very early. It was a lot of fun though. Basically, you have to like present your paper in front of a panel, and the panel is outside experts like me who get very, very judgy, very judgy. It is not early tonight. You're late tonight because the clocks changed in America this weekend. I warned you guys on Friday. Clocks changed on Friday. Anyway, what else is going on, guys? What else? I know Sasha, she's good. She's like, she's in her bed. She's in her bed underneath. I think, even though her hearing isn't great, I think she heard me mention her name. I'll try to get a picture of my dog for you guys, but no, she's hanging in there. You know, her walking is still problematic, but again, better within reason. I mean, it's much better. It wasn't good, but it's here, we'll give you the well, she's giving the eye, which cracks me up too. She's giving oops, where is this? I'm trying to get the photo. Where'd the photo go? Where did the photo go? Hello. Oh my God, I'm trying to find the all right, it's hiding on me. Trying to do something really simple, like take a photo for you guys, and it's just being completely evil here. Photos. There we go. Boy, you know, but this is the problem. Like, I'm used to using my phone and stuff, but when I'm using something else, it like takes forever. There she is. Jesus Christ, that took forever. So yes, this was the side eye of my dog looking at me as you guys were saying, where's Sasha? She was looking up, like going, what are you doing? Thank you, McGuire. What are you doing? So, anyway, yeah, not a big fan. Yeah, more racist, anti-Semite bigots. That's nice. Bye-bye. Not a big fan of bigots on our show. Sorry, you had to leave. Anyway, what else? She is part Yorkie. She's half Yorkie. Yeah. Half Yorkie, half Bijan. So the Yorkie people can always tell she's a Yorkie. The Bijan people can tell she's a Bijan. I can't necessarily tell either way, which is funny, but yes. Anyway, oh my God. Actually, it also had a kind of a fun thing today. I was walking home from the park and ran into one of the neat things about DC. I will say, I don't like DC. But one of the neat things about DC is you can run into people because it's the capital. And I ran into Alex Thompson, who's really interesting. He's a reporter I've been following for a while. I think I don't know if he's with The Atlantic now. He's on CNN a lot. He's a CNN contributor. But I think he's with The Atlantic now. But I've been following him on Twitter, and I really like him. He covers Democrats for the election. But kind of fun, just 'cause I saw him in the corner, and I went, and he follows me on Twitter. So I was like, we follow each other on Twitter. So we had a very interesting political discussion about the election and where the candidates were and stuff. But kind of fun. That's one of the things I like in DC is being able to occasionally like run into people who are, you know, the reporters and the people working on stuff. It's kind of fun. I still hate it here, but you know, for that stuff, it can be kind of fun. But it was fun. Yeah. Anyway, what else, guys? What else? We're hanging, we're talking. I may adjust my seat while we're talking so I can relax a little bit. Oh my God. Like I said, I'm just so freaking tired. Oh my God. Oh man. No, I've just never liked it here. DC, it's, I don't know, lots of reasons I don't like DC. Crime, poverty. It's just not it's certainly better than it was, but it's still very sort of crime ridden. Not very nice people here. which I'm not a fan of either. Kind of a small town as well, even though it's big. It's not big. It's the capital, but DC's like 800,000 people, not 850,000 people. It's just not that big a town, Why do I stay? I may not. If I get my Greek citizenship, I may not be staying. So, big fire in Glasgow. Yep, still waiting to hear from the Greeks. The Greeks have my citizenship application, but it can take months for them to review it. So, hopefully no glitches. We're going to find out. So, still waiting. Do I think? No, there's not going to be a draft. I will say this. I can't stand Trump and his White House, but everybody was freaking out about the draft this weekend. And I guess two things. One, generally speaking, I don't feel the need to defend the Trump people when people twist their words, generally speaking, because they're so evil, let them defend their own words. Having said that, everyone was sharing the story this weekend that, oh my God, the Trump press secretary said he's considering the draft. No, he didn't. She didn't. She really didn't. It's I don't even know what that is, Taylor. Glasgow? That pronunciation still doesn't tell me anything. Glasgow? I don't know what that means. That doesn't look any different than the way I said it. But basically, she was asked about the draft and then mentioned boots on the ground. I know it's the city in Scotland, you goofballs. What, you think I'm a moron? I'm saying he wrote some phonetic thing that made no sense. She was asked about the draft, and in the same sentence asked about boots on the ground. And she said, I'm not going to get into the details of what we're planning, blah, 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 blah. She was obviously referring to boots on the ground, but everybody took it as she was asked about the draft too, and she said, I'm not going to respond, which meant she didn't say no about a draft. Again, I'm not going to do her work for her because she's evil and she works for somebody evil. So I'm happy that it blows up in her face that everybody thinks they're going to draft everybody. Personally, however, I do not, exactly, Gary, that's the plan. I am not a fan of sharing fake news with you guys. I'm happy if fake stories cause problems for Trump, that's okay. But I still don't want to be the one sharing them because I think it's important for you guys to be able to trust me. And she clearly wasn't talking about the draft. So I just think she wasn't, But again, it kind of blew up in their face. So I was like, okay, whatever. Only because somebody asked about it. That's why I was telling you guys what I think really is going on. That's what really happened. I don't know. Anybody know where this fire is at? John Piper is asking. This fire in Glasgow. Anyway, what else, guys? It was yesterday. Mia's saying it was yesterday. Central Station. So Central Station. Massive fire at Union Station in Glasgow, Scotland. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you, DJ. Appreciate that. It really wasn't a vape shop? It started in a vape shop. Somebody wrote vape shop initially, and I thought, are you being serious? Do I think Democrats have a chance to get the House back? Democrats are getting the House back right now. Oh, yeah. I mean, the current lay of the land for the elections is that the Democrats are... So we've got elections in the fall, November. The elections are for Congress. The entire House of Representatives is up for election, and 1/3 of the United States Senate. Both are controlled by Republicans. The Senate was considered impossible for Democrats to win this time. House, interesting, and then became pretty certain. I mean, anything can go wrong, right? So I'm not going to tell you it's certain, but what I mean by certain, I mean today Republicans are screwed on the House of Representatives. That doesn't mean in 7 months they'll still be screwed, or 8 months, maybe, right? But right now they're screwed. Now they could try to cheat and steal. Trump is trying to do that, so things can change. The Senate has gotten interesting because the Senate was an impossibility. There was no way Democrats were going to win the Senate this year. And now all of a sudden, about a month ago, suddenly the experts on CNN, the pollsters, the Cook's Political Report, suddenly started talking about how it's no longer a guarantee that the Republicans were going to win the Senate. So it's and those voting market things, which I don't really trust, but those have gotten a lot closer too. It's getting more interesting. It's getting more interesting. I mean, voters are so pissed off. Democrats and independents are so enraged and engaged. The economy, let's see the war, how it goes. Let's see what happens with the economy. I mean, gas prices. Actually, you know what I'd be curious about? Oil prices settled down today. That doesn't mean that gas prices settled down. I was talking to Callum about this. He was saying how diesel fuel prices were up to like $5 a gallon where he is. And I was saying how, we were saying how just because oil markets settled down a little today, that doesn't mean gasoline prices are settling down. Where is this? I'm trying to find. Well, the average, I know the current average, we know that. The current average is 3.48, but is that that's the new, actually that is pretty high because on Friday it was 3.32 or $3.32, something like that, $3.30 something. Now it's up to $3.48. So it jumped already, this weekend jumped. Yeah. Yeah, so that is pretty, thank you, mister. Yeah, that I've been told that the red works. I wear the red for the show because also just my take, but I think a little more color in the show makes it a little more interesting to watch, but that's my bias, right? I always think it's more fun to watch people that have got color going on. I'm trying to see here. Gas Buddy, they're pretty good. I mean, not pretty good, they're very good. I'm trying to see like the national thing from Gas Buddy. Do they have a national report on their homepage? No. Actually, their homepage is indecipherable. Oh, I have no idea what this. I don't know what this is. Gas price charts? Maybe. Oh my God. Wow. Look at this chart of gasoline prices. This is funny. Oops. It disappeared on me. I hate that. Shoot. I hate that when like you're looking at stuff and it disappears. Like I've got Ice Barbie. Here we go. These were gasoline prices in America, average gas price. And this is 2024, 2025. And then finally it starts to go down. January of 2020. Right here, or no, December, Christmas time, it's down to 273. And here, whoa, 352. Even up to 352 now. That was kind of a big spike from 297. Actually, that was the lead into the war. So it was all the way down to 273 and jumped to 352. Oops. That's per gallon. In America, we do it by gallons, 3.8 gallons a liter. 3.8 liters a gallon, excuse me. So, yeah. Gas tools, I'm looking here. Gas price map. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of interesting. This is kind of an interesting tool for like prices around the country. Interesting. Anyway, so yes, so gas prices are up again. Oh, was there a Galaxy gift? Did I mix it? Was that a goat? Did we have a goat? We did, from Fur Baby. All right, Fur Baby, that is a goat gift, I do believe. Yep, I had to close the curtains because the clocks changed here. And because the clocks changed, the show's an hour earlier, which now means we get sunlight. So now I'm unfortunately back to shutting the curtains again, which sucks because I kind of like having the curtains. So which goat would you like? As you know, you get a choice of goat. Halloween goat? We can do Halloween goat. One moment, please. Oops. One more time. Thank you for that. Anyway, yeah, so although now the sun is set finally, but I had to, thank you, Louise. But yeah, I had to shut the curtains because unfortunately the sun set pretty much. What sucks is all summer until this is like 6 months of closed curtains, which annoys me. Because in the afternoon in general, I've got to shut the curtains because it just gets too bright. Gasoline prices. Let's see what the latest is. This was several hours. I want to get like not 3 hours ago. CBS News. So this is today. Yeah, the average national cost of gas is now $3.48 a gallon, up 48 cents since last week, 58 cents from a month ago. Okay. Yeah, so let's see, but it's the gas price. Now, how much did they go up today? That's the one thing I'm trying to figure out. Is did they rise today? We know over the last week, but what happened today? Actually, Gas Buddy might show us that. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to pull up that chart again. Because what I'm curious about is what happened, as I said, U.S. average. Up. Thank you, DJ. Oh, 1 month. Thank you for that. You get to pick a goat, too. TJ gets a goat. Yeah, another goat. Regular, small regular, big regular, Halloween, yodeling pickle. Is there something else? I'm trying to remember if I'm forgetting one of the goats. Yeah, big goat. Oh, Christmas goat. Doesn't do anything different, but it looks Christmassy. Actually, I think I have a Christmas goat. I'm already forgetting. Didn't I get a Christmas goat? Yes, I've got a Christmas goat. Yodeling pickle. You get the yodeling pickle. Yodeling pickle it is. Yodeling pickle is it's so annoying. I mean, I got it on purpose because it's funny, but it's so annoying. So bad. Oh, thanks, Robert. Okay. There we go. Well, thank you. Oh, thank you. So here is the 1 month. Here we go. So here is 1 month of gas prices. So today they didn't go up too much. Today they went up from 345 to 352, according to this. The average, I should say. So the average went up from 345 to 352. So that's 7 cents. So that's something. Not terrible. It's not great. I mean, it's still not great though, But anyway, what do you do? Jose the jalapeno. I don't know that one. We'll see. I have to see if I'm going to get more obnoxious gifts. Yeah, California. Well, California is always more expensive. Yep. I mean, it's up everywhere. What will be interesting to see is in the next couple days, like, again, everyone kind of fell for it. Everyone fell for Trump's thing today, kind of pretending like, ooh, tonight he was going to announce the war is over. Well, I thought he might do it. And now we find out, no, not really. Ventriloquist Jeff Dunham? Oh, okay. So clearly he did not call the war off today. So that did not happen. UK is more like 6 pounds a gallon is even more in dollars, right? Alexa, what is 6 pounds in dollars? $7 maybe?
6 pounds is about $7.50.
$7.50 a gallon in the UK. Wow. Wow. Europe has always been like, I'd say twice. I'd say 2 to 4 times. I want to say, like, in my lifetime, gasoline has always been 2 to 4 times the price in Europe than it is here in America. Always. Always. Because it's always, I mean, to us, we think it's expensive here, and we go there and we're like, Canada, but which way Canada? Canada, is yours like ours, though? Jocelyn, is your price more like ours? Like we said, our average price is $3.52, but that's a gallon, and that's average, so it depends where, Squadron saying gas this morning was $3.59. This afternoon it jumped to $3.69. No, where is that? But that's about what I'm seeing here. This is showing 7 cents. Yours is a 10-cent jump, so that's about the same. Liters, and how much per liter in Canada? Oh, that's in Florida? Okay. $7 Canadian. I never know what that is in U.S. dollars, though. Alexa, what is $7 Canadian in U.S. dollars?
$7 Canadian is about $5.25
Oh.
in U.S. dollars.
Oh, it's 5.25 in U.S.
Current currency exchange rates?
Oh, it's five. That's still quite expensive. It's $7 a gallon. Is that a gallon you were saying in Canada? Alexa, nope, not talking to you. Is it a gallon? Per liter? It's not $7 a liter. Alexa, shut up. Jesus. Excuse me, you're saying it's $7 a liter in Canada for gasoline? Get a gallon. Okay, a gallon. Yeah, a gallon makes sense. A gallon. Right. So that's about $5.50 a gallon, which is still very bad on average. That's like California prices. Because on average it's like we said, $3.50 right now here. Oh, is Yulia here? I didn't see. Is Yulia here? We haven't seen you in a while. Obviously, other topics taking our attention this week, but not here. Okay. Not here. All right. Canadian gallons are bigger? Is that true? Just to make things confusing. Canadian gallons are bigger, are they? That would be. Alexa, are gallons bigger in Canada?
Yes, Canadian gallons are bigger. A Canadian gallon holds about 4.5 liters, while a U.S. gallon is only 3.8 liters.
What is wrong with you people? That Alexa just said yes. Alexa said U.S. gallon is 3.8 liters. Canadian is 4.8 liters or 4.5 liters. Is that not true?
You're right. I made a mistake earlier. A U.S. gallon is 3.785 liters, while a Canadian gallon is 4.546 liters.
Yeah. Okay, Alexa, please stop talking. Yeah, 4.5. That's funny. You've got a different gallon? That's crazy. Imperial gallons? What is that, like a British gallon? Well, I didn't know gallons. I knew some of the measurements can be different, which is really confusing. That's just stupid. How did we end up with different gallons? That's just dumb. I mean, it's bad enough we got metric and not metric, right? But different gallons just seems kind of stupid. You know? Exactly. The mighty imperial gallon is bigger. That's funny. That's funny. We tried to switch to metric 50 years ago. It didn't work. 1970s, Jimmy Carter tried. Everybody went, eh. And like typically our rulers, a ruler in America typically has inches on one side and metric on the centimeters on the other. Typically, but not always. But we don't use it. Like, I think because I did a lot of science and stuff, I like centimeters for the measurement. I don't like it for this. Saying like, whatever the hell this would be in centimeters, I don't know, 30? I don't even know. That confuses me. But a centimeter is quite a useful unit of measurement, I find, because it's not quite half an inch. It's smaller. It can be quite useful for measuring things, but only as a centimeter. Like 3 centimeters, I think starts to get a little more confusing. Then I'd rather use inches, like inch and a half. Although, I don't know, when you're talking a couple centimeters, I still think it's useful. But even inches, though, like 4 inches, I'm like, is it this maybe? I think. That's a little confusing. Decimeters. But it seems a bit silly, yeah, the fact that we never switched over. But they tried, and Americans were like, "Rrr." You guys use millimeters? Yeah. Yeah, we certainly don't use millimeters. We don't use either. We don't use centimeters. We don't use millimeters. Like I said, we use it in football. Well, yards, but yards is kind of a meter, but it's not. But it is. I'm liking the air fryer. Actually, the air fryer is working well for cooking. I've been in. Actually, it's quite good for the air fryer function. I'm liking it. Yeah. Gunther says they were bringing a standard kilogram from France to the U.S. and the ship sank. That's actually true? What do you mean? And that was gonna be the thing that equalized America with the metric? Millimeters used for. I'm not gonna even repeat that word. TikTok might not like that word. JTA. Yes, and I know, Kevin. Yeah, the Europeans don't drive the monsters we do. That I know. Yeah. I was assuming Trump wanted to drop a Moab. Yeah, sorry, Justin, I didn't see your comment earlier. I was assuming it was a Moab. But the thing is, they've dropped Moabs. We've dropped them before in the Middle East. I mean, Afghanistan, So I'm not quite sure that that's new otherwise. Updates about the war. I mean, we spent the first hour of the show giving updates about the war. Now I'm about to sign off because it's almost quarter after. We did the war update. The show started a little over an hour ago, so we're almost done, guys, for the night. I did do an update on TikTok and Twitter and everywhere else, sort of a 2.5 minute update that just sort of summarizes the news. So do go check that out. Otherwise, the show is on YouTube. You can always go and watch the show there. So you can have watch our longer discussion of the latest news. Yep, there you go. Anyway, anything else, guys? Otherwise, maybe we'll call it quits. I'm tired. Like I said, I had to get up with the time change. Our clocks changed yesterday, which means we lost an hour, and then I had to get up early for a thing at Georgetown. So, I woke up at 5:45, which was really 5:45. So I'm zombie man today. But so yes, in 1793, France sent a standard kilogram weight and a standard meter bar to the U.S. so the new country could adopt the emerging metric system. That's hilarious, but it sank. That is funny. Yeah. I did see that. Yeah, Trump is saying he won't sign any bills until the election laws are passed. The Democrats are like, good, don't sign any bills. Are you kidding? They're not signing anything good anyway. Like, okay, fine. No, he's desperate to steal the election. Absolutely desperate. We'll see what happens, but, Anyway, ship was seized by British privateers during the wars between the revolutionary France and Great Britain. Huh. So it's the Brits' fault that we don't have metric. See? If the Brits hadn't seized the ship, we would have had our measure of weight and I know the meter thing, they've got like in Paris, they've got that thing that's the measurement of the meter that's on the wall there. It's like near the Jardin de Luxembourg, I think, like right north of, kind of north one of the exits of it, as I recall. It's kind of cool and hidden there. I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I had to get up so early for this thing I was doing today. I mean, horrifically early. So I am very tired. So anyway, I think we're going to call it quits, though, because we're at 7:17. So we've been doing this for an hour and 15, which is my usual cutoff to protect my voice. So thank you, guys. All right, everybody, I'm going to sign off. So thank you all for joining us. Remember, we do have the time change. So if you're watching our show regularly, like right now, it's 7:17 in Washington, D.C. Our clocks went ahead this weekend, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, do thank you for joining us. I will see you guys tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern Time U.S. That's Washington, D.C. or New York City time. 6 o'clock is when our show starts. So do come back tomorrow. We'll be doing the latest news across the board. Obviously, a lot of the focus is the war because that's what's going on. But check it out. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for the gifts. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. All right? So thank you, guys. As always, I'll start with the Discord folks, by Discord folks. Burp. And then we will move over to the YouTube, TikTok, your last. YouTube, it's Substack, etc. Good night, guys. Bang.